Welcome to the Tuned In podcast, where we will dive into the mindset, spirituality, practical tools, and tips for making you the best version of yourself on and off the stage. I'm your host, Natalia, and I'm a holistic vocal coach and a mindset coach. So let's dive in today's episode in 3, 2, 1. Before we're going to dive into the conversation with Georgie, which you don't want to miss, I want to quickly remind you, loves, that the applications for my private exclusive 3-month coaching, Vocal Freedom, is now open for applications. So if you are done putting your dreams, putting your singing passion aside another year, and you want to take your career, your voice to the next level this coming year, this is for you. If you've been through vocal coaching, traditional vocal coaching, this is not it. If you are struggling with anxiety, with stage fright, if you think you don't have the voice, if you're struggling with high notes or you're struggling with consistency and you want to sound professional, so you can finally put your talent, your voice, your music, your passion projects, everything you dreamed of out and finally live the life you always dreamed. This is not late, my loves. This is the time. This is your sign. So if you're interested, applications are now open. So I'll definitely make sure to click the link below or in the show notes where you can apply. And if it's a good fit, trust me, this will change your life in ways that I can't even explain. And we're going to talk about a little bit with Georgie so you can get a little sneak peek of what's waiting for you. But I would love, love, love to speak with you and get to know you more. So enjoy this beautiful interview. And as always, I'm here for you to answer any questions. I love you. Okay, I am so excited for this episode, guys. You don't even understand. I love this. I can't even tell girl because she's not a girl. She's a woman. She's a force. She's a infinite energy of creativity, of courage, of light. And I'm so honored to bring her in. Her name is Georgie, and she's a songwriter. She's an amazing singer. She is an amazing DJ. And I brought her here to tell you guys and kind of show you the story of where she started and how she became one of the most successful DJs out there, performing full time, doing what she loves. So, with no further ado, welcome the one and only Georgie.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Natalia, for having me. I'm so excited to just really get into everything because you've seen every side of me. So I wouldn't want to do this with anybody else.
Oh, thank you. And we just talked about before we hop online. Like, this is going to be a real talk, guys. So don't expect like a TV version of ourselves. We are going to have a real talk about what it takes, the hardships, the challenges, the not so pretty things, the thing we thought going to work out that didn't work out. We're just going to lay it all here because this is what it's all about, being authentic and being real. And that's how we're going to do it. So with no further ado, I kind of want to dive in to that, Georgie, like before you came to New York, who you were, what you were about, where you came from, just so people understand how crazy this transition and who you are
Yeah,
today and where you came from.
absolutely. So I am from a very small town outside of Boston, and kind of the way I grew up was like, my mom was a single mom, and she really, really wanted me to go to college and get a normal job and never have to struggle because she worked a lot. And everybody around me, like, I think like all of my friends went to school, ended up going to school for the same thing. And I think a lot of people in that town were just, it's very like, go to high school, go to college, and settle down, have a family, and like that's just what everybody does. And I always knew from a very, very young age that I felt kind of like that wasn't the path for me. And I mean, when I was like 5 years old, I have my sister sent me photos of like me. I used to perform in front of the family, like on every holiday, and then in middle school
Me
and high
too.
school. Yeah, it's
It's
like
so cute.
I know, and like me and my cousin had like our first little band called Tomboys when we were kids. And like then I did a couple little bands like in middle school and talent shows and they called them coffee shops and stuff like that. And I don't know, it was always clearly my passion. I love to perform and put on a show, but I think as everybody does, or a lot of people, you know, got a little lost for a second and had to find my way back to myself.
Beautiful. So, what made you come to New York?
Yeah, I came for school to go to business school, which is nothing like me at all.
I
uh,
actually, I'm kind of disagree with you. I think you're an amazing businesswoman, and we're gonna
oh,
talk about it because there's no coincidences. Like
that's
you
true.
treat your talent and your what you do as a business, and it
Yeah,
shows. But we're gonna talk about it later on. But yeah, keep
yeah,
going.
yeah. Well, I guess it wasn't what I was like fashion business, so it wasn't. But it is useful if I think about it. But yeah, like kind of what I was going to school for was more like to work as like a fashion buyer or like something like that under some corporate company. And I did that. I chose that because I was like, that will get me to New York. And I feel like my higher self, like, or my like inner child knew that something, it was funny. I always had this thought and I was like, yeah, I'm going to graduate and then I'm going to just do what I actually want. Instead of thinking like when I'm 18, let me not go to the school because I know I'm not going to last there. I was just like, I'm going to get the degree and then I'll do what I really want, you know?
Isn't it crazy how we think and how our mind and ego is such a interesting thing where you think that spending 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, right? If you're doing also masters, putting yourself something on the wall, right? That will guarantee that security. That will
Yeah.
guarantee that, if you fall through, I believe the ones who are successful, there's no plan B. It
Yes.
has to happen.
Exactly. I
It
was
really
talking to
does.
my friend Steven. He's the lead singer at Third Eye Blind, and he had a really tough life, like really tough life. And he was like, Georgie, I've never met anybody at the top who wasn't crazy for this career, who wouldn't do anything, and who did not have a backup plan. That's not to say if you have a backup plan, it's necessarily bad. It's just the way the world works. If you don't have a backup plan, it's like this has to happen, like there's no other question about it.
I
But
think,
sometimes it takes a second to get there.
of course, and this is the thing, you have to go 100% to whatever you want. And from that 100%, it will lead you to the next best thing and the next best thing. You can assess once you're there, see, okay, is that really something that I want? Is that something that I don't want? And go from there. But if you're already offering that split energy where you are, I'm there, but I'm not there, like you're tiptoeing, you're trying, but you're not trying. And let's be honest, there are going to be a lot of no's, there are going to be a lot of people that are going to not hire you right away. So if you're going to take it as a signal from the universe that is not meant for you, you lose it. You're right away losing.
Absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with the process of elimination. Like if you're gonna go all in on something, even if it's, oh my God, I personally dropped out of two schools. And after college, I ended up going into an acting conservatory. And I remember our conversations where I was still struggling with my identity. I was
Yeah.
like, because I knew acting would provide me the ability to perform. And I think because I was younger and I have this memory of my parents literally telling me that like music was not an actual career. Not that acting is any more practical, but in my brain, because of that memory as a kid, I was like, well, I can't, it was still like, what else can I do? Because I can't really do music full time. Like, I don't know. I was like, there's a school for acting, I can perform. And I put everything into that. And that was when I realized, no, it's something else. So there's nothing wrong with doing that. That's something I've learned.
Absolutely. Wow, you hit something very, very important. This is one of the biggest limited beliefs that I found with my students and clients, that you can't do what you love full time. It's not
You can make a living
practical.
out of it.
But that's what we grew up, our parents, and this generation is so different. Let's be honest, in the last 5 years, it's like crazy changes in the music industry, especially where, first of all, there's no guarantees in anything. Let's be honest. Nobody's gonna tell you, especially with COVID. Now we see all these corporations, all these big companies shutting down, changing, rehiring, letting go of people, all these things you think that you have that security and safety goes out of the window. And it's all about creating the opportunity for yourself as wherever you are. But I think to live a life where you're not 100% living your purpose, and it's not about finding who you are, it's about going with what feels good and what excites you right now. And that will lead you to your purpose. That will lead you to who you really are. Because let's face it, we can't decide who we are. We're only going to know
Yeah.
about it as we go.
It's
What do you
like
think?
it's literally following the fun, like what lights you up, and people overcomplicate it. And I used to do that. I used
Me
to
too.
overanalyze, and I overanalyzed the music career so much that I made myself at one point think I hated music because I was
Mm.
like, that's easier if I can convince myself out of it, than actually dropping everything in my life and running into the unknown.
So true. And it's hard when you don't see a lot of people doing that around you. You are the outcast. You are the one who is going against the stream. There's not a lot of people like us. And it takes that special talent and
Yeah.
soul to
Mm.
go 100% and go for it, no matter what people say around you. This is not easy, guys. So if you are in that place right now where you are thinking, wait, I want to do it, but my parents are not going to support me. My friends
Yeah.
not going to get me. I'm going to feel alone. First of all, you're not alone. And
Yeah. There's a
it's
lot of people like this.
exactly, it's just finding the right ones. And you might need to reconsider and not eliminate the people around you, but find those who are in that space where they support that, they understand that. And it's a choice who you bring into your life, right?
Absolutely. If you
Yeah.
hang out with people who support you, and like, I think one of the biggest fears I had was the identity thing. And that's something that you really helped me with. Like, just to kind of give everyone a backstory, I was identifying with, when I was in the business school, I was identifying with somebody who did business. And then when I went to the acting school, I was identifying as an actor. And then, I also was insecure because even though I did like talent shows and have been, songwriting my whole life, I never identified as a singer. And that's when I found Natalia, because I was like, maybe if I take some vocal lessons, I'll be worthy of being able to
Mm.
be an actual singer, because I can't identify as that if I don't feel like I'm trained and if I don't feel like I have enough experience.
I
And
didn't work so hard for it.
yeah, exactly. And like, that's what I really loved. Like, it's crazy. When I came to you, I was really completely different,
Oh
like,
my
than I
God.
am now.
It's so
Completely
true.
different. And it's sometimes I'm still like, how did I get here? But
But that's the thing. That version of yourself was always there. We're
yeah.
not building something from nothing. It's about shedding all these things that you think you are and actually letting like that inner truth of who you are out without judging it, without
Mm.
overcomplicating it. As you said, like we are so good at that, guys. As creatives, we are overthinkers. We
Oh
are
my God.
overgivers. We are over empaths. We take so many energies, so many opinions. And it's so important to rely on yourself, on your own power. Meaning, if somebody says to you, Georgie, you suck, you can't believe every person and what they say and take it as your own, how you see yourself and how you validate yourself, right?
Yeah.
This is one of the
Mm.
biggest things because again, we're dealing with people's opinion and art. It's not a fact. Some people will like what you do, some people will not like what you do, but it's not about catering to everybody. It's about finding those people that love what you do, but you have to
Mhm.
bring your true authentic self out. You can't be just trying to please everybody and try to do the right thing. No, you have to be 100% who you are, which is the hardest thing. It's hard to be
I
vulnerable.
know, I know. And especially because when you put everything into a song, right? Especially if you're
Mm.
writing it too, and then, somebody, it does hurt sometimes, if somebody doesn't see the value in it, or, they, as a newer artist, sometimes you'll send it to people and they won't even listen. They just don't care. And something that I've learned is like what you said, like obviously be confident and be like, I'm not making music for everybody. I'm making music for myself. And whoever likes it, they're part of this, they can be part of my fan base, my following, whatever. And if they don't, then that's not for them. There's so many artists that are very successful, Grammy winners, and people hate their music.
That's
Like
so
people
true.
don't like it.
Right.
And that's okay. And it's all about just having the confidence and knowing that you love what you're doing so much and that these opinions don't matter. And also, I actually don't think it's wrong that people shouldn't care at the beginning, because if a random person just sent me a song, or like, I don't know, if it kind of seems like it came out of nowhere, like you can't blame somebody who has their own belief system.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people that change their careers sporadically. I was always nervous about that because of my background. I came from very, very different. My job was different before I did music. Everything about me was different. I was just trying to fit in so hard. My look was different. And I feel like I was always nervous. Like, oh, well, if I do music, are people going to be like, where did this come from? Like, even though it's been in me forever, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Okay, so let's walk through. You moved into New York, you went to this business school, you dropped
Yes.
out, then you went to the acting school, you dropped out.
Mhm.
How, this is the $1 million question, right? How did you transition yourself from doing all these little side gigs and all these things to actually being and living full time as DJ, singer, songwriter, everything that you do right now?
I would say I literally said yes to every opportunity that felt like it served me, even when I was terrified, because there were times where I was literally learning to DJ as I was playing, because that's kind of how it happened for me. I got an opportunity to play. I said yes because I was like, I would love to do that. I learned as much as I could in the time that I had. And then I just got better every time I played. But what made it a hobby and then a career is probably the fact that I had tunnel vision, and every time I did a gig, I always intended for something to come from it. Like I was always like, put it out in the universe. Like I always say, God, use me as a vessel. And I have this deep rooted belief that if I do something, something's going to come from it. If I go to a party, I'm not just going to a party to get drunk. Like
Yes.
something's going to come from it. Like I'm going to, and it's not like I'm always have to get something out of it. It's just like an opportunity. I'm like, I'm in abundance right now. I'm in flow. It's a lot of action, saying yes, but also the mindset has to be there. It has to be there
The
because
energetics is so important because again, you can come and do the thing, but you're not magnetic. People are now relating to you. And I remember when we kind of talked about it, and I remember our sessions. We were, oh my God, I'm not ready. I don't know what to do. What
I was
should I
so
do?
scared.
Should
I
I
was
put
so
what they
scared.
want me to, what they expect from me, or should I put what I actually want to play? Remember, we had all these
Mhm.
conversation. I was like,
Yeah.
you know what, Georgie? Just channel something bigger than yourself. Remove yourself from out of this whole process because it's not about us, guys. If you go to the music business for having people clap for you and tell you how wonderful you are, you lost. You're already
Yeah.
immediately lost because again, you're putting your power into other people's hands
Yeah.
versus being, I don't know how to explain it until you actually feel it. And if you decided to be a singer or a performer or doing anything of that kind, you had a moment in your life when you felt that channeling, felt like when you're on
Yes.
stage, something bigger than you taking over, and it's addicting and it's healing and it's like meditation. It's like,
It's like flow.
oh my God, right? And then we're start to control it. Then we want more of it. And then we're trying to manipulate that.
Yeah.
But we have to come back to that true elimination of ourselves and see what comes out of it. When you say I want to think come out of it, I know what you mean. You mean I want to serve and let me be that vessel of serving those other people and see what comes back to me out of
Yes.
giving that energy, out
Like
of
opening
giving.
my heart. Like my heart is open. I'm going to give you what I know I feel in this moment. and it's an energy exchange back and forth between me and the crowd. And then I always just feel like, also, I'm like, if I'm meant to do this, what's the worst that could happen? Right? Like, what's the worst that could happen if
So true.
I this is something that I always live by. And it's like, if you desire it, you're meant to have it. Why would I don't desire to be a rocket scientist, right? But
You'll be
somebody
great at
does.
it though. You'll be the
Somebody
coolest
does.
rocket science.
Imagine.
Oh yeah.
DJ turned rocket scientist. But like somebody does, and somebody has a burning passion for that. So I just think they're gonna get it. And I think we are all meant to serve in different ways. Like there's so many positions and industries and jobs, and there's just so much out there for everybody. And yeah, the biggest thing that really made it from hobby to career for me was literally tunnel vision, just knowing where I was going, like, and just, I mean, honestly, networking is really helpful too.
I
Like,
was about to say, if you think she's not a brilliant business person, you're wrong. I think
I
you're
guess I don't, yeah.
brilliant. And if I'm gonna kind of take it back and kind of look at you and analyze, so people are like can look at themselves as a business, because you are a business. If you are
Yeah.
making money, and you should make money of what you love, and then not treat it as a hobby. That's number one. Don't treat it as a hobby. It's a job. It's
Yeah.
your career. And you also need to validate yourself in terms of how much you want to be compensated, how much your energy is worth, and not back down. Because, of course, if you want to start, of course, you're going to now charge as the top, experienced DJ, but
Yeah.
you would charge something that feels good to you. Because if you're going to come to a gig and you're like charge nothing or for free, you will feel like shit,
Exactly.
right?
Totally. And you'll be taken advantage of.
100%. 100%. But if all of us unite as artists and say, you know what, there's a minimum. We are not just like the clowns that come here to entertain. This is a job like anything else. And
Yeah.
let's be honest, this is one of the most important jobs. Because let me tell you, if I go to a party with no music, there's no booze,
I'm
there's no
not even
money flowing
staying.
in, there's nothing.
I walked out. I'm already gone.
Right? So you're the most important thing in that whole
Yeah.
scenario. But more than
Yeah.
that, what makes you so brilliant is the fact you said networking. Guys, any business with no connection, no real human connection, it's not a business. You
No.
have to have that trust, know, and like factor with the people that are decision makers in your industry. And you don't need to come from a place of, I want something from you, because people feel it
Yeah.
big time. And it's all about, okay, I just like your vibe. Let's talk. Like, how can I help you? How can I, just be fun and be who you are and see what comes out of it? And that's what I think happens to you a lot of times.
Oh, absolutely. I didn't know, I don't have parents in the industry. I didn't know anybody. I was literally a girl who grew up with a single mom in a small town with a big dream. That sounds so corny, but it's
It's
true.
so true.
It's exactly what happened. And that's just for anybody listening who hears this and they're literally in their room at their parents' house, or maybe they're in college, or maybe they have a job and they've been working it for so long and they just have still this burning passion and they're like, well, I don't know where to start. Like, I was in that same position. That same position. I didn't know anybody. And, you just kind of got to put yourself out there, like literally go to random events, like go to like you'll never know who you're going to meet. And also, when I first started, I used to think like, oh my God, like if I met somebody and I knew they're important in the industry, I'd be like, okay, like what should I say to them? How do I make them? And then eventually I learned the best way to network is, like you just said, to be so genuine with the person. Like, if I'm working, okay, if there's somebody who owns a label that I want to get signed to, I shouldn't have to be like, that's a lack mentality to be like, oh my God, let me really make myself look better. Like, no, you don't have to look better. This is you. You present yourself as you are. And I will be so chill. I'll literally be like, oh yeah, like I'd love to send you music. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you eventually, like these people are want to sign music or even fuck a label. Like if a booker or whatever it is, these people, they work with artists, they hire artists. So don't feel bad about putting yourself out there, because there's nothing wrong with that. It's an exchange. Like, you would play a party for them. They're just as lucky as you. You guys are both lucky. Not
Exactly.
lucky, but it's meant to
Yeah.
be. So
Exactly. We both need each other, but it's about wanting to work
no
with one another.
pedestaling. No pedestaling. That's a big thing I used to do. I used to put people on pedestals and
Or remember? Yes.
ah,
Ah,
it was
no
like,
pedestals.
and guys, Natalia is the best at like not only, and I want to get into like talk about like the vocal stuff because that was a big insecurity for me. And I think that is so important. But just put that aside for a second. Like, actually, like, you helped me grow so much as a person, as an artist, into myself because if I didn't meet you, I'm not even kidding, guys. Support is so important. Someone open your eyes. Like, I don't know where I would have been right now. I don't know. I don't know because you helped me believe in myself. So I wish
I
I could give you a
love
hug. I wish I could give you a hug.
you. I can't. This is why I love her so much. But and I always say to you, it takes two for tango. And
Mhm.
when the student is ready, the teacher appears. I really truly believe in that. And it only takes one person to believe in you and see beyond where you are. It's so easy to be caught up with what's reality, what's out there, and choose your what do you want to do in your life based on what you see, feel, and touch versus actually making a decision of what you want
Yeah.
and going after it and choosing to see things around you as an evidence for what happening for you. It's really what it's all about. But
Yeah.
let's go back to your voice because your voice was, I think it's one of the biggest factors people don't understand. Voice is a reflection of our mindset, of our physical and emotional
Mhm.
state.
Yes.
It's not just let me do some vocal exercises and here you are, you're the greatest singer in the world. If you don't believe you're a good singer, if you hate the sound of your voice, if you're doubting yourself every fucking second time, anything you will do will not be good enough. It's going to feel miserable. And let me tell you, you're not going to be able to put your best shit out there with that attitude.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So, so what do you think was really from where you started, right, with your voice? What was the thing that really, again, changed that for you? That now you feel like I'm a freaking singer and I'm gonna sing on live using my track and killing it like you are.
Yeah. Okay. Well, obviously, to start was like, I remember when I first walked in, like I was such a different person, but when I first walked into your studio, I was like, and we talked, and it was like everything I said, I doubted. Everything I said. I would be like, yeah, like I have this song. And I was just like, but like I can't. And oh my God, we'd be doing the exercises and I would be terrified to do an exercise. I'd be like, everything that came out of my mouth, I was like, it's horrible. Like my mindset was like, you're not trained, you don't know what you're doing. And I feel like you helped me understand. You always said anybody can sing. And I was like, I don't know. Like and
Except me.
I was like, we have a special case over here. Um, so yeah, but like you really opening up, like challenging my belief system, doing the meditations, being so patient, and allowing me when I would be nervous, my heart would race, I'd be so insecure. I felt so vulnerable. I was like, this is something I've wanted to do my whole life. I'm now dedicating my career and my life to it. I used to think like this moment right now is gonna like it. I put so much pressure on it, but
Exactly.
you were always like, just laughed it off. Like you just like, when I was getting in my head, you made me feel so safe and that it was so okay. And that like I think opening my eyes, that mindset, like your throat chakra, like your actual body, it keeps the score. And like it's so important. Like we would just do sessions sometimes, or I wouldn't even sing, and we would just like, all right, let's go into like childhood Georgie. Like, why am I having this belief? And then I would leave, belief is gone. And it was like just I really feel like just a collection of us, you being open and accepting of me, and obviously showing me really good techniques, gave me the confidence to be like, I can do this. Because there were days where I'd go in, I could sing, and I'm like, wait, that was me. And
Exactly.
it was just, yeah, a breath. Breath was a big one for me too. I did not know how to breathe.
It's a huge one, guys. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't know how to read. They don't read at all. It's like, that saying that you now use 100% capacity of our brain. Same thing with our lungs. And it's
Yep.
amazing how our breath is showcase how we feel. And a lot of time we are anxious, we are afraid, we are timid, we are closing off, and our breath is a reflection of it. And true breath is a low, calm, open breath. And
Mm.
then you project your voice if it's singing or speaking.
It's
But you
also
said something.
easier when you breathe right.
It's so true. It's so true. And not let the muscles kind of create the voice for us, right? Letting the voice to the air to kind of lead and support the sound. Now, what you said something is so true. And I think that was the missing piece for me for so many years. Because I went to the top coaches, guys. I spent a lot of money going to like the best voice lessons and all that stuff, and I something was wrong with me. Why I'm not getting all this technique thing, why I'm still choking when I'm going to the high notes, why I my voice breaks, why I can't sustain the notes, and I'm like holding for dear life, why I'm losing my voice every freaking like every week. Something
Mm.
is wrong with me, something is wrong with me. I'm the one, until I understood, like, whoa, has nothing to do with my voice. Something has to change with my perception of my voice and my relationship with our voice. And I think healing our relationship with our voice, something that people don't really understand, is like, what do you mean, relationship with your voice?
You're
But
dating
you,
your voice?
I hated my voice. It was like one of the things that I always been so conscious of. I loved singing, but I always felt I was not good enough, and that not good enough and not being validated by professional people, it killed me. It really
Oh,
killed me because I knew that's what I want, but yet I can't get there. So I always felt like in between, until I realized the connection between the mindset, between the energetics, between the physical, and really understanding that we all already born singers. We sing as babies. I have a 9-month baby. He sings on top of his lungs with no problem. Okay. He's
your
projecting.
baby would have the perfect voice.
You better, right?
Your baby singing opera in the
Can you
bathtub.
imagine? But it's so interesting. Like when I observe him, he's just singing and he's just carefree. And then something happens. Somebody tells us we're not good enough. We decide we're not good enough. And we take away from ourselves that ability of saying, you know what? I'm going to sing, even if I'm not Whitney Houston, but I have a path. And if I have a will to sing, there's something about that that I need to explore. I don't know what it's going to come out of it, but
Yeah.
I give yourself the permission to explore it. Don't right away shut yourself down because you're not the top singer in your world, whatever you think it is, right? There's no such thing.
It's so funny, guys, because I was so terrified in front of my vocal coach to sing a song. And now I'll sing in front of thousands of people and I'm not scared at all. I'm not scared at all.
Isn't it
I'm
crazy?
I trust. I trust. And
Oh, that's a big one.
also you gotta I've noticed if you can trust yourself before evidence provides, before people kiss your ass, before any of that, then like you're just invincible. You're
Oh,
invincible. And it's hard, but like I was somebody who literally could not sing in front of my vocal coach, and now I can perform and I don't get nervous in front of a lot of people. So it is fucking possible. It is so possible. I used to be so scared. It feels like a different human. It's so
it's
funny.
amazing. It's amazing. Do you do anything before you come out on stage?
I will do like I'll breathe, I'll do like lip trills, I'll do like little warm-ups, but the biggest thing is I always make sure to like do like the vessel meditation, kind of higher self, like see the light filling up the body, like all of that,
Right.
like as well, because it's just as important. But yeah, I
It's just
definitely
as
warm up
important.
and do a little spiritual thing as well. So
Exactly. And
it
people don't
helps.
understand. You don't need to hours of warming
Yeah.
up before going on stage. Actually, you take away that the best energy if you
Mm.
always over practice over, just sometimes you got to just trust that what you have is enough and
Mm-hmm.
let the magic come through you and see what happens. Just allow it. And I promise you guys, one of my best shows that I ever did, I was 21 years old after being like a year into school, studying with that vocal coach that abused me. No, no, never mind. But I was completely not ready for this role. It's one of the hardest roles in the soprano repertoire. And I was like, okay, the main girl dropped out. She couldn't do it. And here I am, 2 weeks
Wow.
before the premiere. I had to walk in and start doing this whole thing. It's a 3 hour opera with full orchestra. It was insane. Let's just say, vocally, technically wise, I was not ready. I was not ready in any way or shape or form. But again, I was so passionate. I was so believing in myself in that moment, right? Before people get into my mind, and then I lost my voice. But before that, that moment, as I said to you, when you're performing and there's something bigger takes over you and you're just not
Oh
in
my
your thinking
God.
mind and you just in that flow. And that what it was for me. And I'm telling you, this is one of the best roles I ever did so far. So far. So it just shows you you can be best
That's
prepared.
huge. And I want to ask you, you were abused by this vocal coach. You basically, the people rejected you in the industry. People who were supposed to be teaching you and loving made you feel like you weren't enough. How did you hear that, take that in, and not take that as truth? Or if you did take it as truth, how did you get to where you are? Because, you coach so many people into getting with their true selves. And I feel like I'm just so curious. What was it, like a certain moment? Was it like how did you do the
It was a
transformation?
accumulation of multiple things, but I'll tell you, in this industry, people will try to have power over you in different ways. They're going to
Oh
make
yeah.
you feel you're never good enough. You always have to be dependent on them. That's a big thing.
They
If
love that.
you
They love that. I can
if
stand by that one.
if you are my student, that's it. You're bound to work with me for the rest of your life. You're not allowed to go to anybody else. And it's a very like a very scarce, like a very low frequency energy. And I just realized that first of all, I had a friend of mine, Stav, that we were the youngest one in her studio, and she'd been through the same thing. And I've been through the same thing. So having that just one more person that's go through what you go through, you're like, okay, I'm not crazy. I'm not the only one. And
That does
then,
help.
right? And then I started going to different people, if it's Alexander technique, which helps with body alignment. Dancers and actors really use this technique, but also singers, and they really teach you how to be in that flow. So your body is, as your instrument, is in that place where it supports your voice in the best way possible. And that kind of opened my voice. And then I started meditating, and then I saw a shift there and started reading and going to seminars of Tony Robbins, and again, like really immersing myself with different, like not have anything to do with music or voice, but seeing those shifts and how it's actually impacting my voice. And then I was like, okay, there's something there, but how can I actually make a method out of it so I can actually help someone else? Because it was like all over the place, right? And I was testing it with my students, and slowly but surely, I really made that as what it is today. But to your question, it took me years, years upon years. And again, it
A
goes back
whole
to my
lifestyle change.
family. It takes years and years and years to get to a place where you're, again, zero fucks given.
Yeah.
And you make your own path, because you know what? I said to myself, I didn't move to New York to do what I do, to be miserable. It's just not happening. It's just not happening. And you have to make a decision when you feel so low and in the shittiest place ever. That's where miracles happens, because you are pushed so much where you are have to find that, okay, like I can't suffer anymore, right? So you have to make a conscious decision of, okay, I want to feel better, and go from there. Does that make
I love
sense?
that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. No, I'm following. I think people really need to hear that. Like, what is the point of doing this if we're just going to be unhappy and we're going to be judging ourselves? Like, you just can't give a fuck. And there is that moment when you put in the work, you start to meditate, you do the vocal exercises, like you need to have a little action, right? For the brain. Like I'm doing these vocal exercises, I'm going to class, or I'm booking these gigs or whatever. And you need to be mindful, right? Because if you're just like, there's a lot of people who are like, I'm just gonna prepare myself, but then they're never ready because you got to throw yourself out there at the same
Yeah.
time. So it's kind of a
So true.
mixture. And I feel like there's just like this moment everybody has, like you said, where they're just like, I don't care anymore. I don't care what people think. Like I can't anymore. Like
I
I'm
can't.
sick of it. I'm sick of it. And like, yeah, we'll fall into it occasionally. But the point is, if you're doing the work, you can handle this career. Like you can handle it spiritually, take action. Like if you do both of those things, you'll be unstoppable, you know?
I love it. So, what is your biggest challenge you face right now?
I'd say the biggest challenge is I want to do something different in the industry. Hence the reason I launched my own label because I have a sound that I really, really love. It's kind of a mix. It's like techno pop, right? It's like
I
my
love it.
two darker, kind of melodic, drony synths, whatever. My very vocally driven. A lot of techno music is not super vocally driven, and a lot of pop
Right.
music
More instrumental.
isn't.
Hmm.
So it's like a nice combo, like kind of like a synth pop, but like also techno. And I found that the industry is a very like black and white, and they're like in the sense of they do things a certain way. Like there are a lot of labels, like if they're house labels, they have very niche specific sounds when they do lineups for festivals. Of course, like people like certain sounds and that's why they do it that way. But then it becomes a point where it's like, well, you're not even accepting anything new. Like, I don't think it's a malicious thing that these labels just want what works, but it makes it hard for people who don't fit in a certain genre to find their place. So
Oh,
I
can
think,
relate so much in this. Yeah.
right?
Oh,
So I feel like the most difficult thing for me was like, and is for me, and I have good days and bad days, is being like, I mean, I want to have my own stage and my own, I want the label to grow in the sense like I want to create an environment that I wish existed, a community that I wish existed. And it can be scary at times because there are people who are like, well, what's your sound? Like, well, what are you doing? Like, well, what is this? And like I think what's difficult for me is to not have to explain it to people and
yeah.
to just make it and release it and stand behind it. And I don't need to convince anyone of anything. That's what's hard for me. It's not the fact that I know it'll work because I feel it and I love the music I'm making, but I have to know that I don't have to convince people that, you know?
Wow.
Just that's hard. It's
That's
hard because
hard. It's
you
hard to
meet
be doing
somebody, you
something
want out.
different. Yeah. And I can
Yeah,
relate
you
so much
know?
with it because after I decided, you know what? I'm not passionate about singing opera anymore full time. It's just not. And I had to be really honest with myself. And it was really scary because, like, oh my God, I spent so much
You hope
time becoming a professional one. I develop a career. I finally can go out there and pursue it 100%. Da, 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 da. But then I was like, I
yeah.
don't want that. Like, I truly didn't want
And
that.
can I just say something really quick
Yeah.
that it's inspiring that you had so much success in that realm and you were able to be like, it's not for me anymore. I want to pivot. A lot of people will be like, well, someone would be so lucky to be in my position right now. How can I pivot? I put so much work in, like somebody would wish that they could hit these notes that I hit or do these shows that I show because that I do because
Yeah.
like it's such a good position to be in at the same time. But then it's like, doesn't matter, doesn't serve you. I have this friend who was on Broadway and he left Broadway to be a music producer. And he was amazing at Broadway. And he was like, doesn't serve me anymore. Like it doesn't matter. Like,
But that's what I'm saying. But you have to ask yourself I would say like every 4 months, every quarter, ask yourself, am I happy? Am I happy doing what I'm doing right now? And be
am I in my
100%
purpose?
honest, right? But
Yeah.
when you do something different, like you said, and I'm right now, as I said, I decided I don't want to do opera. So I decided I want to do crossover. Like I'm
Mm,
so passionate about mixing different genres of music and making
yes.
something unique.
This is
And
why
let
we
me,
get along.
yeah. And that's why a lot of people, they're like, wait, so where the hell I'm putting you? In the classical, in the freaking rock and pop? Like, where the hell I'm putting you? But that's
Don't
the
put
whole
me in a fucking
point.
box. That's where you put me. I
Exactly. Like,
don't want to fit in
hello.
a box. I want to be free.
But that's the thing. This is again the old mentality of putting us in a box, putting us in where we should fit in. But all the best artists out there, they stretch the rules, they stretch the rules of what you
Yes.
need to be in order to whatever be successful.
And so
So,
many industry professionals were like, no, you can't do that. That doesn't work. And it's just proven they're wrong and they're wrong again because no one knows an artist's music more than the person making it. You can't, from the out, and no one understands what you're trying to do because it's not their purpose. So they're going to look at it and
exactly.
not feel that same passion and know that it's never been done or that there's a lot of odds against you. And they're going to be like, even as a friend, they might be a friend and be like, I just don't think you should do that. Like I've had people be like, even like, just people try to lead me in a certain direction and be like, you'll
Right.
have more success this way. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck because I won't be happy if I'm
Oh,
playing music I don't want to play.
guys, let's
Period.
redefine success. Success is happiness, period.
Literally, success is being happy in your purpose.
Exactly. And if you're just having all these money and you have all these fans, but it's not something you're 100% you, that's devastating. That's
It's
not real
horrible.
happiness.
It's
Now,
not.
going
Oh,
back to your what you said, I think kind of people, if they've been through this kind of challenge like you are,
yeah.
guys, it takes good amount of time. I would say like a good 4 years in order for
Yeah.
people to kind of see not something as different and kind of embrace it because repetition it just does the work. So whatever you do, give yourself at least 4 years of get your shit
Mm,
out there, bringing as many people as you can, and really connect people not just to the music but to purpose. As you said, the community, there is a vibe being in this bitch
yeah.
house vibe, right? This is not
Yes.
just the music, it's the look,
The
it's
collective. It's
yes.
an energy of just being a free spirit. And I always felt like people sometimes like I wear the black lipstick. I like to put on a crazy show,
I
right?
love it.
But the point is so much deeper than that. And it's really the
Hmm.
whole bitch house is literally just do whatever you want. Like if you walk in a room and wear black lipstick, everyone looks at you weird, but you don't care because you like it. Like that's how you should feel about your music, Like it's just
Exactly. But
that's just an
life.
example. But like
Yes.
that's really I was like, I felt so strongly about my whole life I just wanted to fit in, right? I was never like the other kids at school because I went to a private school and I had a single mom and I had a scholarship. And then I moved to New York and I'm in a school with fashion people that I don't even know anything about fashion in that sense of like, I just always would be manifest situations where I didn't feel accepted and
Mm,
choose to go into those directions because that's what I was used to and that's what I thought I deserved. And, you know, so I wanted to create this label, this artist collective, and I eventually want to branch out into like a podcast, YouTube channel, and bring
yes.
people on that are like, oh my god, I'm so terrified of this sound I'm doing. Like I love it, but I'm so scared of like bringing it to a label. Like I want people to be excited, like, oh my god, this is a label that like actually would be open to this. Like they're not gonna, and doesn't mean we're gonna sign everybody, but if there's something there, if there's like that
Mm.
spark that you can't fake it, it's just a feeling.
Oh, yeah.
One of my friends in the industry told me this, and he's like, a song, no one gives a fuck what a song is about. It's either you feel something or you don't.
It's
And I
true.
think the same things with genres. I don't give a fuck what genre a song is. If I feel something and it makes me light up, I'm not going to be like, well, that's that genre. And I'm used to this artist making this genre. Like, if it's a good song, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Guys, this is gold. So make what you do and remind yourself that it's not just the music, it's the collective, it's the people. Go back to the people and create these experiences that people will never freaking forget, and that music will represent that for them. And remind yourself that 4 years of doing 100% tunnel
Mm,
vision of
mm,
get your music out, doing the shows, get as many ears as possible to listen to what you do.
Mhm.
Honestly, this is what it's all about. And
Um,
before you know it, you're gonna become the mainstream, and people, all those labels, gonna go back to you. It's like,
I know.
remember me?
Yep. It's crazy. I want to say two things quickly. One is if you watch any documentary in the world of your favorite artist, there is going to be the same story. Somebody's like, not really doing it for me. Like, I don't really know, this is kind of weird. Or like, no, your fans like this, so please don't do that. Or no, like the numbers prove differently now. We have SoundCloud, Spotify, TikTok. Like, we just, the collection of streams of people hearing our stuff, like, we don't need a label anymore. We can do it on our own. Yeah, it takes a fucking lot to promote and make a million TikToks. But the point is, if the music's good, it will be heard. And um also don't be discouraged, because I've made so many songs with so many different vibes, I made bad, quote unquote, bad songs, just in the sense of like I don't really resonate with them anymore, and like they weren't
Yeah.
produced well. I've also
Mm-hmm.
worked with wonky people in the industry
Uh-huh.
because I was desperate, and
It's just
I
part of
felt
it
like I didn't
though.
deserve an actual professional, like, work with somebody who is like mentally like professional. Like, there's just like a lot of people out there. You're gonna go through a lot. Like,
Oh yeah.
there's a lot of ups and downs, and you're gonna make songs that your friends might even be like, this is not good, it might actually suck. But like, you have to make bad songs to make good songs. You have to try
So
every
true.
genre to know where you feel like you fit in, and you have to work with different people to know how you should be treated. So
Not everything you put out there is going to be gold, guys, and you have to be like, it's almost accepting as yourself your own shit and the good stuff. Same thing with the
yeah.
music you put out there. You have to accept that this will represent a certain part of you, and it doesn't have to be released, but it's just part that teach you to go to the next level. And it's all part of the process. It really, really is. You can't just rely on only putting good stuff, and that's what caused people to just not put anything out, because nothing is good enough. So you just
Yeah.
gotta go, 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 do, and something will stick, something will resonate. You're gonna become viral, or that one producer is gonna love your shit and gonna like hire you for a party or get you in a label,
Mm-hmm.
or why not? But your job is keep freaking going.
Yes.
And with that, guys, I
This is
want
so
to
good.
honestly, guys, this is one of the best conversation I ever had, and I truly hope as many people hear this because it's so needed.
Mhm.
And Georgie, thank you so much for opening your heart, being so vulnerable and honest
Always for you. Always for you,
for
especially.
anybody.
But no, I mean, I feel so grateful to be able to share these things, because I would want to listen to this if I had a burning passion for something, but was
Yeah.
terrified to do it. And like, I just want people to open their hearts and open their minds and realize that through our stories, it is possible. And tunnel vision, consistency, trust, patience.
All the above. And
Mhm.
yeah, and also finding help if you need. You don't have to figure
Yes.
everything for yourself. That's honestly not because I'm talking about myself. Any professional that you resonate with,
Mhm.
go out, seek help. It's
There's not,
all.
it's
Yeah,
it's it's like it opens your eyes to a different perspective.
exactly. You're so much in your shit that's so hard to see what's going on. And sometimes you need
Yeah.
somebody to really take you from, because if they're good people, like the good professionals that you want, they've been there and they're now on the
Yes.
other side, and they know how to walk you through to that place. And
Amen.
it just takes like less time, let's put it that way, to figure it out. But with that, my love, I want to thank you so much. Where people can find you, where people can listen to your music or see you
Yes.
perform.
Yes, of course. So I live in New York City, obviously. You can find me on social media at Georgie's Life, GeorgisLife. Or you can find me, Georgie.live is my website where I post all of my gigs, my mixes, and on Spotify, I'm just Georgie. But I might be having a name change, but that's not going to be said on this podcast.
So
But
let's
if
put
that's
it
the
that way.
case.
I love it. So you'll send me all the information going to be in the show notes and also in the description down below. But if you're in New York, guys, please check her out. Go to see and experience the Georgie vibe and the beach house club
Yeah.
vibe. I'm telling you, this is going to be the best party you ever attended.
Yes.
And again, I know that the best is yet to come for you, my love. So keep going. Please, please, please keep going. Because by you doing what you love, you inspire so many other people to do the
Aw,
same.
thank
And I
you.
know close people around you, and they all say how your energy is like it's just radiates and lights the entire world.
Oh
So
my goodness. That means so much to me. And thank you again for having me. And same for you. If anyone's in New York, they want life coach, mentorship, vocal coach, just Natalia's your girl. Okay. Like I don't have to say anything else.
I appreciate it, my love. Thank you so, so much. And I guess we'll see. If you guys, by the way, have any questions, also feel free to, comment, post it on your Instagram. I know that Georgie and I would love to have a conversation with
Yes.
you guys. And with that, we're gonna stop right now.
I love you.
I love you more, babes. Thank you for listening. And if you guys ever came all the way to the end of this interview, my loves, this is your sign that you need to apply for my private, exclusive vocal freedom coaching, where you're going to transform your life, your career, everything you thought. Again, it's not your typical old school traditional vocal coaching. It's a completely different approach that combines mindset, spirituality, physical aspect, and healthy vocal technique to transform your voice, find your authentic voice, and really get the singer that always been there within you, and find what to do with this talent and actually apply it to something you can make something significant with. If it's on stage, if it's creating your music, if it's doing anything that you truly wanted and you secretly couldn't even admit to yourself. So, this is for you. Applications are open right now. I'm only taking 3 people at a time because it's so immersive and it's it's something that I'm really keeping it limited and exclusive. But if you feel this is for you and you have this feeling in your heart that this is something you want for yourself, listen to this voice. Trust me, it will never fail you. And it's not only for professionals, it's for anybody who feels that they have a true passion to sing and you just don't know where to start, or they've been through some traditional vocal coaching and it just didn't give them the results they want. This is for you. So I can't wait to meet you. And with that, loves, have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.